Greetings, Stranger Things fans. Welcome to FoundFlix. So just this past Sunday, Netflix premiered the first teaser for Stranger Things Season 2, and my head is still reeling. There's so much packed into it and plenty to overanalyze. But before we can recover, brand new information detailing the plot for the first time and where the characters are now has been released in an article from Entertainment Weekly. But before that, a quick correction from my previous Stranger Things video. In this one shot where we see someone crying, I incorrectly identified it as Mike. We never see their face, but when I went back and looked at the other shots of Mike in the teaser, it clearly wasn't him crying. So obviously it is 11, now with longer hair. And we see that in the new cast photo that Millie's longer hair would match pretty closely with the hair length of her in the shot crying. Also, I'm sure that her curly locks we see are in reference to Ripley's look in Aliens, which is of course awesome. So again, apologies for the mistake, folks, and let's get cranking with all of the new info. Some of the article confirmed stuff we already more or less knew, but again now confirmed. The story takes place 1 year later after the events of Season 1 on Halloween specifically, the same release date as the new season. I like that they're releasing it at the same time the series takes place, even if as a result we do have to wait till Halloween for it. Also, it's interesting to see that Will is out with the boys on Halloween also as a Ghostbuster, and also back at school at some point. I'm surprised to see that he is trying to get back to some kind of normalcy after last season, and I wondered if it was even possible. But clearly things are already not going well for him, as we know he was in observation at Hawkins just a day before. We also know now that Will is seeing visions as a result of his experience in the Upside Down, and no doubt that is him seeing the big spidery monster in the teaser via one of his visions. According to Matt Duffer, he seems to be seeing images from the Upside Down. The question is whether they're real or not. So it seems like he's having some sort of post-traumatic stress disorder. They're playing with the idea of it maybe just being Will going nuts or something, but I think these are real visions. He is still connected to the Upside Down, and even in the finale he had briefly had a flash in the bathroom of being in the Upside Down. I'm sure he has been mentally affected by his time there, but I think his visions are premonitions of terrible things to come on the horizon. As far as the other kids, the new character Max, most likely the Mad Max referred to in the previous teaser, becomes fast friends with the boys, and both Dustin and Lucas develop romantic feelings for her. Uh-oh, love triangle. That probably won't turn out well. But even if Lucas wins out Max's heart in the end, Dustin won't be alone as he is getting a new pet. This specific information is probably the most bizarre out of the whole article, because his new pet comes from another dimension? It's a little creature I get to bond with, says Matarazzo. It's obviously not from this planet or this dimension. Wow, what the heck? This definitely catches me off guard. It's crazy to imagine there being a wider variety of creatures seen in Season 2, and some that are actually friendly? And it's described as being a tadpole or pollywog-like creature, and pollywog was another title from that previous teaser. Mike, on the other hand, is having a tougher time than the rest of his pals and is still devastated over the missing, presumed dead 11. Though of course we know better. His sister Nancy is going through her own grief over her missing and definitely dead friend Barb. She and Mike are the ones most screwed up because they're the ones who lost someone, says Ross Duffer. They're both grappling with that, and we see the effects. So there you go, folks. She didn't forget about Barb after all. And it seems like that will be what drives Nancy next season, finding out what happened to Barb, who of course is dead, unless it could be. Let's see that spider monster shot. Well, it's not really clear. Can we enhance that? Oh good God, Barb monster confirmed! And I feel like Max's older stepbrother Billy will play into Nancy's story this season as well. Before, thanks to the breakdown we got, we learned he's basically a jock a-hole. But now it seems like he'll be an even bigger problem than I had thought at first. Stephen King always has really great human villains. The evil in the real world is often as bad or worse than the supernatural evil, so he wanted to introduce a character like that. Wow, so apparently Billy is not just a jerk, but is actually evil. I'm not sure what kind of stuff he'll be doing next season, but that definitely sounds like a more menacing direction for the character than I expected. Alright, so that's about all the info we have on the younger generations in Hawkins, so let's find out what's going on with the adults. First off, Joyce is attempting to create stability at home for Will and Jonathan, which I'm sure will be incredibly difficult. And we see her at Hawkins with Will for observation. So she must recognize that it's impossible to return to simpler times and that the damage has been done. Regardless, she is now dating Bob, a former classmate of hers played by Sean Astin, who manages the local Radio Shack. Ooh, the manager! Way to aim high, Joyce. But to be fair, I guess a wet sack of potatoes would probably be better than the boy's birth father. So still a big step up from Lonnie for sure. Meanwhile, Hopper, as I speculated, will will have his hands full with the aftermath of Season 1's events. He is attempting to keep things a secret, like the disappearance of Barb, in order to protect Joyce and the kids. So he is at least still looking out for them, which is a relief. It kind of falls on Hopper to be the voice of authority to say, this did happen and this didn't happen, says Harbor. He's struggling with the compromise that takes him to having to lie and cover things up. That is a tough spot for Hopper to be in next season, and no doubt he will struggle with his forced relationship with Hawkins National. Who knows what their interest will be with Hopper? I have a feeling it won't be to protect the kids. And speaking of Hawkins National, it is confirmed that the rift is still open, as is the lab. So they haven't really stopped despite Brenner most likely not being around anymore. And that is all thanks to the new character, Dr. Owens, played by Paul Reiser, described as seemingly friendly. Oh, seemingly friendly. So that means he's not friendly at all and probably a big evil douche. Just my guess. So that's a ton of new stuff to pick apart for Season 2, and I'm sure we will be getting even more details before too long. But until then, we will have to keep digging into what we have so far. So what do you guys think of all the directions things are heading with our characters in Season 2? And what are you most looking forward to? Maybe Dustin's pet pollywog? Let me know down in the comments below. Thanks for watching FoundFlix. See you next time.